I found out my wife was cheating, and it shattered everything I thought I knew about love. But what happened next changed my life forever. I always thought marriages ended with shouting, with slamming doors, suitcases, and someone crying on the front porch while the other drives away. But mine didn't end like that. It ended quietly, the kind of silence that hums under your skin like an old wound you can't stop touching. Her name is Rachel, and for 8 years, she was the center of my world. We met in college, both broke, both idealistic, both convinced that love could survive anything. We moved into a small apartment above a laundromat, shared instant noodles for dinner, and dreamed of the day we'd have a yard and a dog and matching bathrobes. And somehow we made it happen. By 32, we had a cozy little house in Northern Virginia, a black Labrador named Max, and a rhythm that felt like safety. Mornings meant coffee together before work. Weekends meant grocery runs, movie nights, and walking Max through the neighborhood trails. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. At least I thought it was. Rachel had always been into fitness, but around last spring, she became really into yoga. Not the gentle breathing kind. I'm talking early morning classes, weekend retreats, matching outfits from some boutique brand with names like Sunrise Flow. First, I was happy for her. She looked radiant, confident. I told myself this was good, people change, passions evolve. Then came Ethan, her new yoga instructor. I first heard about him one evening while she was cooking dinner. Ethan says I'm improving so fast, she said, smiling in that bright way she used to when we first started dating. I smiled back, but something in my chest tightened. Sounds like a good teacher, I said. She nodded. He's amazing. He really understands people's energy. Energy. That word stuck with me. The following weeks I started noticing small things. Her perfume changed, softer, unfamiliar. Her phone, once left anywhere, was now always face down. And she laughed, really laughed, at texts I never sent. One Friday she came home late. I was half asleep on the couch when I heard her keys jingle. Yoga ran long, she said, tossing her mat in the corner. I glanced at the clock. Until 10:45? She hesitated. We went out for smoothies after. It's a new thing we're doing, community bonding. I nodded slowly. Right. Community. She kissed me goodnight, and I stared at the ceiling for a long time after she fell asleep. The next morning I made her coffee, oat milk, cinnamon the way she liked it, and placed it on the counter. I was thinking, I said casually, maybe I'll come with you to yoga sometime. She froze for half a second before smiling. Oh babe, it's really intense. You'd hate it. Plus it's kind of a private space for me. Private. Another word that stuck. That day while she was gone, I sat in the living room, staring at the doorbell camera feed on my phone. We'd installed it after a package theft a year ago, and I barely used it since. But something, instinct maybe, made me open the app. I scrolled through the history. Timestamps, clips, little squares of ordinary life. Rachel leaving for work, mail being delivered, me mowing the lawn. Then on Wednesday, a day she said she had yoga, I saw something. 3:47 p.m. Rachel's car pulls into the driveway. She gets out, smiling. Then another car pulls up right behind her. A man gets out. Tall. Athletic. He's carrying a yoga mat. My breath caught in my throat. He follows her inside. I watched the clip again and again, praying there was some innocent explanation. Maybe it was a house visit, a session, a quick stop. But the timestamp told the truth. He stayed for 3 hours. And when he finally left, Rachel walked him out, kissed him on the cheek, then checked her reflection in the window before coming back inside. I don't remember breathing. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. Max came over, pressing his head against my knee, as if he knew something inside me had cracked. I sat there for a long time, hours maybe, staring at that frozen frame of her face lit by the porch light, smiling at another man like she used to smile at me. That night, when she came home, I didn't say a word. She hummed as she made tea, asked about my day, told me hers. Every word from her mouth sounded like static. When she reached over to kiss my cheek goodnight, I forced a smile. Because I knew, the second I confronted her, the version of my life I'd loved was going to end. And I wasn't ready to bury it yet. The next few days passed like I was walking through fog. Rachel and I still had breakfast together, still traded goodnight kisses, still talked about weekend plans, but underneath every word, there was that humming silence again. The kind that follows you into your sleep and makes you wake up tired. I replayed that doorbell footage more times than I'd like to admit. Every time I told myself I was overreacting, that maybe he'd stop by to drop something off, maybe there was some innocent reason. But the kiss didn't lie. On Saturday morning, Rachel said she had a special yoga workshop. 8 hours long out of town. She was nervous, over-explaining, fumbling with her water bottle like she wanted me to believe her so badly. I nodded, smiled, and said, "Have a great class." Then when she left, I sat in the driveway for a moment, staring at her car disappearing down the street. The air was cool, gray clouds hanging low. I opened the doorbell app again and switched the camera to live mode. The porch was empty, quiet, just Max lying in his usual spot by the welcome mat. I whispered to him, "We're gonna find out, buddy." And then I got in my car and followed her. I didn't tail her like in the movies. No sunglasses or trench coat. I just kept a few cars back, hands tight on the wheel, heart pounding like I was about to rob a bank. Rachel drove across town, past the downtown yoga studio, and eventually pulled into a strip mall on the edge of town. She parked behind a smoothie bar called Pure Roots. Then another car pulled up beside her. The same silver Honda from the doorbell footage. Ethan. I watched them from across the lot. She stepped out, all smiles, hair tied back, yoga mat slung over her shoulder. He leaned in close, said something that made her laugh. Then they got into his car together. No mats, no gym bags. Just gone. I sat there until they disappeared, my chest hollow. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I just drove home and sat in my driveway, staring at the steering wheel for nearly an hour. That night she came home late again. Her cheeks were flushed, her hair damp from a shower, but not the one at our house. "Workshop was amazing," she said, pouring herself a glass of wine. "You should have seen the energy today." I smiled faintly. "Yeah? How's Ethan?" Her glass paused midair. "What?" "Your instructor. You've mentioned him a lot." She blinked, her expression shifting too fast. "Oh, he's great." "Why?" "Just wondering," I said softly. "You talk about him like you used to talk about me." For a moment something flickered in her eyes. Guilt? Fear? I don't know. Then she smiled, that rehearsed kind of smile people wear when they're lying. "Don't be ridiculous," she said, brushing past me. "You're imagining things." Later that night she fell asleep beside me, her breathing slow and steady. I stared at the ceiling again, listening to the rhythm of her breaths, the dog's sigh from the floor, the faint hum of the AC. I reached for my phone, opened the camera app. There it was again, 7:42 p.m., Rachel arriving home, adjusting her hair in the reflection of the car window before walking to the door. But this time something new. When she leaned down to grab her bag, her shirt shifted just enough to reveal a mark on her shoulder, faint but visible even through the grainy camera feed. A fingerprint-shaped bruise. My chest tightened. I locked my phone and turned away. I didn't need to see more. The next morning I woke up early, made breakfast like always. She came downstairs sleepy-eyed, kissed my cheek and said, "You're too good to me." I smiled. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Maybe too good." After she left, I opened the laptop, downloaded every clip from the doorbell camera, every date, every timestamp. By the time I was done, I had nearly 2 hours of footage. Proof that the woman I'd built my life around had built another one behind my back. That evening I texted her, "Dinner tonight? Just us. I'll cook." She replied with a heart emoji. "Can't wait. Love you." I stared at that message for a long time. Love you. The words felt so empty, so mechanical. I cooked her favorite, pasta with roasted vegetables and white wine. Set the table, lit candles, played her favorite music. When she walked in, she smiled. "This is beautiful," she said. I nodded. Thought we could use some time together. We ate, talked, laughed a little, pretended we were still us. Then after dessert, I took a deep breath and reached for my phone. "Hey Rach," I said softly. "Can I show you something?" She looked at me curious. "Sure." I pressed play. The screen lit up, her car, the driveway, Ethan stepping out of his Honda. At first she didn't understand what she was seeing. Then I saw her face go pale. "Why are you?" "Just watch." The clip played through, her smiling, letting him inside, the kiss on his cheek. Silence. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak, but nothing came out. I swallowed hard, forcing the words out. How long? Tears filled her eyes. It's not what it looks like. 3 hours, I said quietly. That's what it looks like. She looked down, trembling. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. Don't say it just happened. You made choices, Rachel. You walked into it. You stayed in it. She covered her face, crying. I'm so sorry, Adam. I love you, I swear I do. I shook my head. You loved the man who would never check the camera. Then I walked upstairs, closed the bedroom door, and for the first time in months slept soundly. I spent the night in the guest room. Not because I was angry, though I was, but because I couldn't stand the smell of her perfume on my pillow anymore. It used to mean comfort. Now it felt like a stranger had been in my bed. When I came downstairs the next morning, Rachel was sitting at the kitchen table, eyes red, a cold cup of coffee in front of her. She looked smaller somehow, like the weight of the truth had finally pressed her down. Adam, she whispered. Please, can we talk? I didn't answer. I poured myself coffee, sat across from her, and waited. She took a shaky breath. It started after Mom died. I was empty. You were working so much. I didn't know how to talk to you without falling apart. Her voice cracked, and part of me wanted to reach across the table, to hold her hand. But I couldn't. So you talked to him instead? I said quietly. She nodded. He listened. It wasn't supposed to go anywhere. Then one day it just happened. And I didn't stop it. I let her words sit there. Heavy. Suffocating. I thought of all the late nights at work, all the texts I'd sent telling her, I'll be home soon. Thinking I was building a life for us. Meanwhile, she was finding peace somewhere else. I didn't want to hurt you, she said softly. I laughed once, hollow, broken. You didn't want to hurt me? Rachel, you filmed yourself doing it. You just didn't know the camera was rolling. Her tears came harder. I'm so sorry. I stared at her, the woman I'd loved, shared a life with, planned a future with, and for the first time I realized she wasn't the same person anymore. Or maybe she was, and I just hadn't wanted to see it. We didn't talk much for the rest of that week. The house felt empty, even when she was in it. I'd go to work, come home, take Max for a walk, and sit in the living room staring at the muted TV while she stayed upstairs. Sometimes I'd hear her crying. Other times, silence. I didn't go up. On Thursday, I came home to find her sitting on the couch, a duffel bag at her feet. I'm going to stay with my sister for a while, she said. Give you space. I nodded. That's probably for the best. She stood, hesitated, then whispered, Adam, do you hate me? I looked at her for a long moment. I don't hate you, I said. But I don't recognize you anymore. She swallowed hard, tears falling again. I still love you. I gave a small, tired smile. Then you should have protected that love. She walked out the door quietly. No slamming, no yelling. Just the sound of the lock clicking behind her, and the soft whine of Max at my feet. That night I sat on the porch, the air cold enough to sting my lungs. The street was quiet. Most of the neighbors' lights were off. I thought about everything we'd built, the house, the memories, the inside jokes, the Sunday morning pancakes. And how easily it had all unraveled with one secret. There's a strange kind of grief that comes when someone you love is still alive but gone from your life. It's not clean. It's not final. It lingers like smoke after a fire. The next morning my phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. I told him it's over. I'm sorry for everything. Please don't hate me forever. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the doorbell camera one last time, deleted every clip, every trace of her betrayal. I didn't want to live in that footage anymore. Then I opened a new video, a live feed of the front yard. Sunlight filtered through the trees. Max lay in the grass, tail thumping lazily. For the first time in weeks, I exhaled without my chest hurting. The days that followed were slow but steady. I threw myself into work. Took Max on longer walks. Started eating better, sleeping more. Some nights were still hard. The kind where loneliness creeps in and the house feels too quiet. But gradually, the silence stopped feeling like punishment. Started to feel like peace. A month later, I got an envelope in the mail. Her handwriting on the front. Inside was a letter. Simple. Honest. Adam, you were the best thing that ever happened to me and I destroyed it. I'm sorry for the pain I caused. I hope someday you find someone who loves you the way you deserve. Fully, faithfully, without fear. Thank you for the years we had. Rachel. I read it twice, folded it neatly, and tucked it into a drawer. Not to keep her close, but to remind myself that love, even when it fails, still matters. Life didn't end with her. It changed shape. I started therapy, joined a weekend hiking group, reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. I learned to sit with my thoughts instead of running from them. Some evenings, I still catch myself looking at the porch light, half expecting her car to pull in, but it never does. And that's okay, because sometimes closure isn't a moment. It's a choice you make every single day. It's strange how quickly a house can change after someone leaves. Not physically. Rachel's shoes were still by the door, her favorite mug still sat in the cupboard, but the energy shifted. The air felt lighter, quieter, honest. For the first few weeks, I kept expecting her to come back. Every time I heard a car door outside or keys jingling, I'd glance up. Old habits die hard. But she didn't come back. And slowly I stopped waiting. By the time fall rolled around, Virginia had turned gold. The trees outside my window were a sea of amber and rust, and Max had made it his personal mission to dive into every pile of leaves he could find. I started running again. At first it was just a way to burn off the anxiety, but eventually it became something more. Something healing. Running gave me rhythm, control. With every mile, I felt like I was shedding pieces of the version of myself who lived in fear and heartbreak. Some mornings, I'd pass the yoga studio on Main Street. For a while I couldn't even look at it. Then one day I stopped across the street, coffee in hand, and realized it didn't hurt anymore. It was just a building. Just a memory. About 2 months after Rachel left, I met someone new. Not in the romantic way, not yet. Her name was Claire. A neighbor I'd seen walking her golden retriever a few times. One afternoon our dogs decided to become instant friends, and that was that. We started walking together, talking about nothing and everything. She was easy to be around. No pretending, no tension, no weight of shared history. She asked me once, "So you're divorced?" I hesitated. "Not yet. But it's over." She nodded, no judgment. That kind of pain takes time to fade. I smiled. "Yeah, it does. But I'm learning." And for the first time I actually meant it. Christmas came and went quietly that year. No big tree, no parties, no gifts wrapped in gold paper like Rachel used to make. Just me, Max, and a mug of hot chocolate on the couch. And honestly, it was enough. Because the thing about heartbreak is, it doesn't destroy you. It reshapes you. It burns down the parts that were built on illusion, and from the ashes, something steadier begins to grow. One cold January night, I got an email from Rachel. No apology this time. No desperate plea for forgiveness. Just a simple update. "Hi Adam. I'm in Seattle now. Started teaching again. Therapy's helping. I think about you sometimes and hope you're doing okay. Take care of yourself." I stared at it for a long while before replying. "Hi Rachel. I'm doing alright. I hope you are too." And that was it. No closure talk, no reliving the pain. Just two people finally facing the truth. We loved each other once and that was enough, even if it didn't last. Months later I sold the house. Not out of anger but because it was time. I wanted new walls, new memories, new light through the windows. I bought a small place closer to the city. 2 bedrooms, a tiny backyard, perfect for Max. It wasn't fancy but it felt like mine. Sometimes I'd catch myself laughing at something on TV and realize I hadn't done that in years. Healing doesn't announce itself. Creeps in quietly in moments like that. When the ache in your chest feels a little lighter. When your mornings don't start with dread. When peace, not pain, becomes your companion. One Sunday morning, Claire and I took our dogs to the park. The air smelled like spring, fresh and alive. She tossed a tennis ball, and Max sprinted after it like a rocket. "Do you ever think about her?" Claire asked softly. I thought for a second. "Sometimes," I said. "But not the way I used to. I don't feel anger anymore. Just gratitude." "Gratitude?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, smiling. "She taught me how to see the cracks before they break the whole thing. She taught me how to listen, to myself mostly. And she taught me what kind of love I never want again." Claire smiled gently. "Sounds like closure to me." I nodded. "Maybe it is." That night I sat on my new porch, watching the sun dip below the rooftops. Max snored beside me, his head heavy on my foot. I thought about the man I was a year ago, the one staring at a screen watching his world fall apart, and how far he'd come. Sometimes the things that shatter us are the same things that set us free. And in that quiet moment I realized I wasn't broken anymore, just rebuilt.